First contact and the galactic stage. The vast expanse of space had always beckoned humanity, a siren call that whispered of endless possibilities and untold wonders. It was in the year 2157 that humanity finally answered that call, stepping onto the galactic stage with a mixture of trepidation and unbridled enthusiasm. Dr. Elara Chen, lead xenolinguist of the United Earth Space Agency, UESA, stood before the holographic display, her eyes wide with wonder as she deciphered the alien transmission. The message had come from a race known as the Zoraxians, a highly advanced civilization that had been observing Earth for centuries. "We welcome you, children of Earth, to the greater galactic community," Elara translated, her voice trembling with excitement. "Your species has shown remarkable resilience and ingenuity. We look forward to exchanging knowledge and forging alliances." The news of first contact spread like wildfire across the globe. Humanity, once divided by borders and ideologies, found itself united in the face of this monumental revelation. The years that followed were a whirlwind of technological advancements and cultural exchanges. The Zoraxians, along with other alien races, shared their knowledge of faster-than-light travel, energy manipulation, and advanced materials science. In return, humanity offered its unique perspectives on art, philosophy, and problem-solving. Captain Marcus Holden of the UESA Starship Odyssey remembered those early days fondly as he gazed out at the swirling colors of hyperspace. His ship, a marvel of human and alien engineering, was en route to the Galactic Council's headquarters on the planet Nexus Prime. Approaching Nexus Prime, Captain is a co-pilot, ARIA, announced, preparing for re-entry into normal space. Marcus nodded, straightening his uniform. "Thank you, ARIA. Alert the crew and prepare for docking procedures." As the Odyssey emerged from hyperspace, the breathtaking sight of Nexus Prime filled the view screen. The planet was a shimmering jewel of technology and nature in perfect harmony. Massive space stations orbited the world, each a hub of interstellar commerce and diplomacy. The ship docked smoothly at one of the orbital stations, and Marcus led his delegation towards the Grand Council chambers. Representatives from over 1,000 different species gathered here to discuss matters of galactic importance. As they entered the vast circular room, Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. In just a few decades, humanity had earned its place among the stars, respected for its adaptability and innovative thinking. The council session began, and various species took turns addressing the assembly. Talk of trade agreements, scientific collaborations, and peacekeeping missions filled the air. But there was an undercurrent of tension that Marcus couldn't ignore. It was during a break in the proceedings that he overheard a conversation between two alien diplomats. Their translators were off, but Marcus's neural implant, a gift from the technologically advanced Syntherians, allowed him to understand their chittering language. "The humans worry me," one of the aliens, an insectoid Creelix, buzzed. Their propensity for violence and their rapid technological growth could destabilize the entire sector. The other alien, a gelatinous blob, pulsed in agreement. "Indeed. Did you hear about their latest military exercise? They destroyed an entire uninhabited solar system just to test a new weapon. It's excessive." Marcus frowned, moving away before he could be noticed. He knew that humanity's methods were often seen as extreme by other races, but from their perspective, it was simply thorough preparation. As the session resumed, a new topic was brought to the floor. The Arcturian representative, a being of pure energy contained within a translucent sphere, spoke with urgency. "Esteemed colleagues, we have received disturbing reports from the Outer Rim. Several colonies have gone dark, and scout ships sent to investigate have not returned. We fear a new threat may be emerging." The chamber erupted in murmurs of concern. Marcus leaned forward, his mind racing with possibilities. Whatever this threat was, he knew humanity would face it head-on. As the council debated on how to proceed, Marcus's communicator buzzed. It was a priority message from Earth. He excused himself and stepped out into a private chamber to take the call. The holographic image of Fleet Admiral Zhang appeared before him. Her expression was grim. "Captain Holden, we've just received intelligence that changes everything. A previously unknown alien race has been detected on the edges of our space. They call themselves the Nestarians, and they're unlike anything we've encountered before." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "What makes them so different, Admiral?" "They're a hive-mind species, Captain, highly aggressive and seemingly bent on consuming all organic matter they encounter. Our long-range scans show they've already assimilated several worlds. The Galactic Council doesn't know the full extent of the threat yet." Marcus nodded, his mind already formulating strategies. "What are our orders, Admiral?" "For now, gather as much information as you can from the Council. We're mobilizing the fleet and reaching out to our allies. Whatever's coming, Captain, we need to be prepared." As the transmission ended, Marcus took a deep breath. He knew that humanity's tendency for overkill, often seen as a flaw by other species, might just be the galaxy's salvation in the face of this new, terrifying enemy. Returning to the council chamber, Marcus listened with new intensity. The debates and discussions now seemed trivial in the face of the looming threat. He caught the eye of Dr. Elara Chen, who had joined the delegation as a cultural advisor. Her slight nod told him she had received similar information. As the session concluded, Marcus gathered his team. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice low but intense, "our mission has changed. We're no longer here just to participate in galactic politics. We're here to save the galaxy." The human delegation exchanged determined looks. They knew that the challenges ahead would test them like never before, but they were ready. Humanity had come too far to falter now. As they left the council chambers, the vast expanse of space visible through the station's windows seemed to darken, as if foreshadowing the storm that was about to engulf the galaxy. Humanity's greatest test was just beginning, and their response would reshape the cosmos forever. The Nestarian threat emerges. The inky blackness of space shimmered with an unnatural oily iridescence. Captain Marcus Holden stood on the bridge of the USA Odyssey, his face bathed in the eerie glow of the main view screen. What they were witnessing defied explanation. "RRA, magnify Sector 7 Alpha," Marcus commanded, his voice tight with tension. The AI complied, and the image zoomed in on a planet that seemed to pulse with sickly, bioluminescent veins. Massive, organic structures twisted skyward from its surface, reaching into the void like grasping tentacles. "By all that's holy," whispered Dr. Elara Chen, her eyes wide with a mixture of fascination and horror. "What are we looking at, Captain?" Marcus's jaw clenched. "That, Doctor, is what's left of the colony world Novus Prime. Or should I say, what the Nestarians have turned it into." The Nestarians. The name sent a chill through the bridge crew. In the weeks since the Galactic Council meeting, the threat had grown from a distant concern to a nightmarish reality. The hive mind species moved with terrifying speed and efficiency, consuming and assimilating entire worlds in a matter of days. "Incoming transmission from Fleet Admiral Zhang," AIR announced. The view screen shifted, revealing the stern face of the Admiral. "Captain Holden, your team's reconnaissance data has been invaluable, but now it's time for action. We're initiating Operation Firewall." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Firewall, Admiral?" Zhang's expression was grim. "We're going to contain the Nestarian advance by any means necessary. Your orders are to rendezvous with the 7th Fleet at these coordinates. Prepare for combat operations." As the transmission ended, Marcus turned to his crew. "You heard the Admiral. Battle stations." The Odyssey's engines flared to life, propelling the ship into hyperspace. In the ship's labs, Dr. Chen and her team worked feverishly to analyze the data they collected on the Nestarians. "Captain, you need to see this." Elara's voice crackled over the intercom. Marcus hurried to the lab, where holographic displays showed bizarre, fractal patterns. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Ilara's eyes gleamed with excitement despite the dire circumstances. It's the Nestarians' communication network. They're not just a hive mind, Captain. They're a quantum hive mind. Their consciousness exists in a state of superposition across multiple dimensions. Marcus frowned. In English, Doctor. They're everywhere and nowhere at once. That's how they're able to coordinate their attacks with such precision. But here's the kicker. Their quantum nature makes them incredibly vulnerable to targeted quantum disruption. A slow smile spread across Marcus's face. Are you saying we can hit them where it hurts? Ilara nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. But we'll need to think big, really big. As the Odyssey dropped out of hyperspace, Marcus's breath caught in his throat. Before them stretched an armada unlike anything humanity had ever assembled. Thousands of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, hung in the void. At the center of the formation loomed a colossal structure, a quantum accelerator the size of a small moon. Admiral Zhang's face appeared on the viewscreen once more. Welcome to Operation Firewall, Captain. Humanity is about to remind the galaxy why they call our tactics overkill. The next hours were a blur of activity. The fleet moved into position around a strategically vital star system, directly in the path of the advancing Nestarian swarm. As Marcus coordinated with other ship captains, Dr. Chen and her team worked to calibrate the quantum accelerator. Energy buildup detected, HFY announced suddenly. Multiple Nestarian crafts entering the system. Marcus gritted his teeth. Here we go. All ships, battle formation Delta. Protect that accelerator at all costs. The void erupted in chaos as the two forces clashed. Nestarian bioships, writhing masses of tentacles and chitinous armor, lashed out with beams of corrosive energy. Human vessels responded with salvos of quantum-tipped missiles and ravening beams of focused stellar plasma. From the Odyssey's bridge, Marcus directed the defense with cold precision. Cruiser Groot 3, shore up the left flank. Fighter Squadrons Alpha through Echo initiate strafing run on the largest bioshare. The battle raged for hours, a dizzying display of light and destruction that would have been beautiful if it weren't so terrifying. Human ingenuity clashed against the alien Hivmind's adaptability in a cosmic dance of devastation. Captain, Ilara's voice cut through the cacophony of battle. The accelerator is ready. Marcus nodded grimly. All ships, fall back to designated safe zones. Initiate Operation Supernova. As the human fleet retreated, the massive quantum accelerator began to pulse with eye-searing light. The Nestarian swarm, sensing the danger, turned their full attention to the device. But it was too late. With a silent flash that seemed to bend the very fabric of space-time, the accelerator fired. A wave of quantum disruption swept outward, catching the Nestarian fleet in its wake. The effect was instantaneous and horrifying. Bioships twisted and warped, their quantum-entangled consciousness shredded by the disruption wave. Massive Nestarian vessels simply winked out of existence, their particles scattered across multiple dimensions. As quickly as it had begun, the battle was over. The system was clear of Nestarian presence, but the cost had been high. Dozens of human ships drifted lifelessly, their crews having given everything to buy time for the accelerator to work. On the Odyssey's bridge, a stunned silence fell. Marcus stared at the aftermath, his mind struggling to process the scale of what they had just accomplished and unleashed. Status report, he managed finally. Aria's calm voice filled the bridge. Nestarian presence in this sector has been reduced by 99.98%. However, the quantum disruption wave continues to expand at faster-than-light speeds. Effects on surrounding star systems are unpredictable. Marcus closed his eyes, the weight of their actions settling on his shoulders. They had won this battle, but at what cost? As reports began to flood in from neighboring systems, one thing became clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. Admiral Zhang is hailing us, Captain, HFY announced. Marcus took a deep breath, steeling himself. Put her through. The Admiral's face appeared, a mix of triumph and concern etched in her features. Well done, Captain, but our work is far from over. The Nesterians will adapt, and we need to be ready. Report to Nexus Prime immediately. It's time to show the Galactic Council what humanity is truly capable of. As the Odyssey set course for Nexus Prime, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they had just opened Pandora's box. Humanity's overkill approach had saved them for now, but the consequences of their actions would ripple across the cosmos for eons to come. The true test, he realized, was only just beginning. Operation Supernova, humanity's bold plan. The holographic war room aboard the UESA Nexus, humanity's mobile command center, hummed with tension. Captain Marcus Holden stood before a gathering of Earth's finest minds and most decorated military leaders. At the center of the room, a swirling galactic map pulsed with ominous red markers, each representing an Nesterian-controlled system. Admiral Zhang's voice cut through the murmur of discussion. The quantum disruption wave bought us time, but the Nesterians are adapting. Our scientists estimate we have 3 months before they launch a counter-offensive that could overwhelm the entire galactic arm. Dr. Ilara Chen stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Which is why we need to strike first, with something they can't possibly anticipate or counter. With a gesture, she expanded a section of the holographic display. A massive, ring-shaped structure appeared, easily dwarfing entire star systems. Ladies and gentlemen, Ilara announced, I give you Project Ouroboros. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Marcus leaned forward, his brow furrowed. What exactly are we looking at, Doctor? Ilara's smile was equal parts brilliant and terrifying. The ultimate expression of humanity's overkill philosophy, Captain. We're going to weaponize the fabric of space-time itself. As Ilara explained the intricacies of Project Ouroboros, Marcus felt a mixture of awe and disbelief wash over him. The plan was audacious, bordering on insane. It involved constructing a massive ring-shaped superstructure around a carefully selected black hole, using its immense gravitational power to create a controlled tear in the universe. The tear will generate a cascading wave of temporal energy, Ilara continued, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. When directed at Nesterian-controlled space, it will quite literally erase them from existence, not just in our timeline, but in all possible timelines. The room erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some expressed amazement, others outrage at the sheer scale and potential consequences of such a weapon. Admiral Zhang raised her hand, silencing the commotion. I understand the ethical concerns, but make no mistake, this is a war for the very existence of all sentient life in the galaxy. The Nesterians leave us no choice. Marcus found his voice. How long to construct this? Ouroboros. Ilara's expression turned grim. With every available resource and the help of our alien allies, 2 months, maybe less if we push our fabrication technology to its limits. Which means we need to buy time, Marcus concluded, his tactical mind already racing. We need to keep the Nesterians occupied while we build our ultimate weapon. Admiral Zhang nodded. Precisely. Captain Holden, you'll lead a special task force. Your mission is to engage in guerrilla warfare across Nesterian-controlled space. Hit-and-run attacks, sabotage, anything to slow their advance and keep their attention divided. As the meeting concluded, Marcus found himself walking alongside Ilara towards the Nexus's advanced fabrication bays. The enormity of what they were about to attempt weighed heavily on both of them. Do you really think this will work? Marcus asked quietly. Ilara's eyes met his, a storm of emotions swirling in their depths. It has to, Marcus, because if it doesn't, there won't be a galaxy left to save. The next weeks were a blur of frenetic activity. The construction of Ouroboros began in secret, hidden within the swirling accretion disk of a supermassive black hole. Meanwhile, Marcus and his task force darted across contested space, striking at Nesterian supply lines and communication hubs. Aboard the Odyssey, now equipped with experimental quantum-facing technology, Marcus led his crew on increasingly daring raids. They would appear seemingly out of nowhere, unleash devastating attacks, and vanish before the Nesterian hive mind could respond. During one particularly harrowing mission, the Odyssey found itself cornered by a Nesterian dreadnought. The massive fireship, easily 10 times the size of the human vessel, fired corrosive beams of energy that ate through the Odyssey's shields like acid. "Quantum drive offline," shouted the tactical officer. "We're sitting ducks, Captain." Marcus's mind raced. They were too close to the dreadnought to use their conventional weapons effectively. Then an idea struck him, crazy, reckless, and exactly the kind of thing that had kept humanity alive in this war. "LOA, divert all power to the forward shields and thrusters. We're going in." The air's normally calm voice held a note of surprise. "Captain, collision course is inadvisable. Chances of survival are less than 2.7%. Marcus grinned, a fierce light in his eyes. "Never tell me the odds, ARIA. Execute." The Odyssey surged forward, its reinforced prow aimed directly at the Nesterian vessel's central nervous cluster. At the last possible second, Marcus shouted, "Now." Quantum phase shift. The ship's experimental drive engaged, shifting the Odyssey partially out of normal space-time. They passed through the Nesterian dreadnought like a ghost, their partially phased state disrupting the bioship's quantum-entangled nervous system. As they emerged on the other side, the massive Nesterian vessel writhed in agony, its coordinated functions thrown into chaos. A few well-placed shots from the Odyssey's main guns finished the job, turning the mighty dreadnought into an expanding cloud of debris. The bridge crew erupted in cheers, but Marcus allowed himself only a moment of satisfaction. Every victory brought them a step closer to completing Ouroboros, but it also heightened the risk of the Nesterians discovering their ultimate plan. As the Odyssey limped back to the hidden human base in the Arcturus cluster, Marcus received an encrypted transmission from Elara. Her holographic image flickered to life, excitement evident in her features. "Marcus, we've done it. Ouroboros is nearly complete. We're ready to begin final testing." A mixture of relief and apprehension washed over him. "That's ahead of schedule. How soon can we deploy?" Elara's expression turned serious. "That's the thing, Marcus. We need you and your team for the final phase. This weapon, it requires a human consciousness to guide it. Someone who's faced the Nesterians in combat, who understands the stakes." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He understood the implication immediately. "You're saying whoever controls Ouroboros might not survive the process?" Elara nodded sullenly. "The risks are significant, but without a human mind to direct it, the weapon could tear apart half the galaxy." For a long moment, Marcus was silent, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Finally, he squared his shoulders and met Elara's gaze. "Send me the coordinates. The Odyssey will be there." As the transmission ended, Marcus looked out at the star-studded void. Humanity had always been accused of overkill, of taking things to extremes. But now, facing an enemy that threatened not just their existence, but that of all life in the galaxy, that propensity for excess might just be the key to salvation. The final confrontation loomed, and Marcus knew that the fate of countless worlds would soon rest in his hands. As the Odyssey set course for Ouroboros, he silently vowed to see this through, no matter the cost. The ultimate expression of human ingenuity and determination was about to be unleashed upon the cosmos, and the universe itself would tremble in its wake. The Quantum Armada assembles. The event horizon of the supermassive black hole loomed before them, a cosmic maw of unimaginable power. Captain Marcus Holden stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, his breath catching in his throat as he beheld the fruits of humanity's labor. Ouroboros, the massive ring-shaped superweapon, hung in space like a technological halo around the black hole. Its surface glimmered with exotic materials, pulsing with energies that defied conventional physics. But it wasn't just Ouroboros that filled Marcus with a sense of awe and trepidation. Surrounding the megastructure was the largest gathering of ships the galaxy had ever seen. The Quantum Armada, humanity's last, best hope against the Nesterian threat. HFY, give me a fleet composition, Marcus ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. The A's holographic form materialized beside him. Certainly, Captain. The Quantum Armada consists of 10,000 quantum frigates capable of facing in and out of reality, 5,000 Kronos-class destroyers armed with time-dilation weaponry, 1,000 Nova dreadnoughts, each carrying enough firepower to shatter a small moon, 100 Singularity carriers housing swarms of A-driven microfighters, and at the center, the Titan-class command ship Prometheus, serving as the neural hub for the entire fleet. Marcus nodded, trying to process the sheer scale of the forces assembled, and the Odyssey. Aria's holographic face showed a hint of pride. The Odyssey has been designated as the tip of the spear, Captain. Your ship will lead the charge and interface directly with Ouroboros. A chime sounded, announcing an incoming transmission. Dr. Elara Chen's face appeared on the main view screen, her eyes bright with a mixture of excitement and fear. Marcus, we're ready to begin the final preparations. Report to the Prometheus for the neural interface procedure. As Marcus made his way to the Titan-class command ship, he couldn't help but marvel at the technology surrounding him. Shuttles zipped between capital ships, carrying crews and last-minute supplies. Swarms of robotic drones buzzed about, making final adjustments to the fleet's quantum harmonization fields. Aboard the Prometheus, Marcus was led to a chamber that looked like a cross between an operating theater and a supercomputer core. Dr. Chen greeted him, gesturing to a sleek, reclined chair at the center of the room. This is where the magic happens, Elara explained, her voice tight with nervous energy. We'll be linking your consciousness directly to Ouroboros and, by extension, the entire Quantum Armada. Marcus eyed the chair warily. And the risks? Elara's expression softened. I won't lie to you, Marcus. This level of neural interfacing has never been attempted before. The strain on your mind will be significant. With a deep breath, Marcus sat in the chair. As a team of technicians began attaching various sensors and neural links to his body, he locked eyes with Elara. Whatever happens, promise me you'll see this through. The Nesterians have to be stopped, no matter the cost. Elara nodded sullenly, squeezing his hand. I promise. The next few hours were a blur of sensations and information as Marcus's mind was gradually linked to the vast network of ships and weaponry. He felt his consciousness expand, touching every corner of the massive fleet. The power at his fingertips was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Finally, the procedure was complete. Marcus opened his eyes, but what he saw was far more than what was physically before him. He could sense every ship in the Armada, feel the pulse of Ouroboros as if it were an extension of his own body. Admiral Zhang's voice came through the neural link, resonating directly in his mind. Captain Holden, status report. Marcus took a moment to acclimate to the strange sensation of communicating through pure thought. Neural interface is stable, Admiral. The Quantum Armada stands ready. Excellent, Zhang replied. Because our long-range sensors have detected a massive Nesterian fleet heading our way. They've taken the bait. A holographic war map materialized in the air before them, showing the approaching Nesterian forces. The hive mind had committed nearly its entire species to this assault, sensing the danger that Ouroboros represented. As the command staff discussed final strategy adjustments, Marcus felt a presence brush against his expanded consciousness. It was alien, vast, and filled with cold, calculating hunger. The Nesterian hive mind had detected him. For a moment, Marcus felt as if he were falling into an abyss of alien thoughts and memories. He saw countless worlds consumed, entire civilizations assimilated into the ever-growing Nesterian biomass. The sheer scale of their conquest was staggering. But then he felt something else. Fear. The Nesterians, for all their power and adaptability, were afraid. Afraid of humanity's unpredictability, of their penchant for overkill solutions that defied conventional logic. With an effort of will, Marcus pulled himself back from the psychic abyss. He found himself gasping, sweat beading on his forehead. "Captain," Ilara's concerned voice cut through the haze. "Are you all right?" Marcus nodded, a grim smile spreading across his face. "Better than all right, Doctor. I've seen into the heart of our enemy, and I know now that we can win this." As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the fleet. The Nesterian armada had arrived, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in a dizzying array of bioships that blotted out the stars. Admiral Zhang's voice rang out across the neural network. "This is it, people. The moment everything hinges on. Captain Holden, you have tactical control of the quantum armada. Show these hive-minded bastards why humanity is the most dangerous species in the galaxy." Marcus closed his eyes, feeling the power of tens of thousands of ships flow through him. With a thought, he began to move the fleet into position, preparing to spring the trap that would decide the fate of the galaxy. As the two massive armadas faced each other across the void, Marcus felt a sense of calm settle over him. This was humanity's finest hour, the culmination of their drive to push boundaries and find solutions where none seemed possible. "All ships," he commanded, his voice resonating through the neural link to every crew member in the fleet. "Prepare to engage. Operation Supernova begins now." The space around the black hole lit up with weapons fire, exotic energies, and reality-warping phenomena as the greatest battle in galactic history began. Humanity's quantum armada clashed with the Nesterian hive mind in a spectacle of destruction and heroism that would be remembered for eons to come. And at the center of it all, Captain Marcus Holden guided the fleet with unparalleled precision, ready to unleash the full power of Ouroboros and rewrite the very laws of physics to ensure humanity's survival. The universe held its breath as the fate of all sentient life hung in the balance. Battle beyond the void. The void erupted into a kaleidoscope of devastation as the quantum armada clashed with the Nesterian swarm. Captain Marcus Holden, his consciousness expanded across the entire human fleet, orchestrated a symphony of destruction that defied the laws of physics. Chronos Squadron, execute temporal pincer movement. Marcus commanded through the neural link. A group of sleek, silver destroyers shimmered and split into temporal duplicates, attacking the same Nesterian dreadnought from multiple points in time simultaneously. The massive bioship writhed in agony, its tentacles flailing across past, present, and future before imploding into a singularity. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying, a dance of light and gravity that painted the cosmos in shades of chaos. On the fringes of the battle, Nova dreadnoughts unleashed salvos of antimatter torpedoes, each detonation birthing a short-lived star that consumed everything in its radius. Nesterian ships caught in the blasts were reduced to their component atoms, scattered across light-years of space. But the Nesterians were far from helpless. Their bioships adapted with terrifying speed, sprouting new defenses and weapons to counter each human tactic. Massive, tentacled monstrosities phased into existence around human capital ships, their corrosive touch eating through quantum-hardened hulls like acid through paper. Singularity carriers, deploy swarms. Marcus ordered, his mind racing to counter the new threat. Swarms of AI-driven microfighters poured from the hangar bays of massive carriers, each no larger than a human hand, but armed with weaponry that could punch through a planet's crust. The battle raged across dimensions, with ships appearing and disappearing as they phased in and out of reality. The space around the supermassive black hole became a graveyard of twisted metal and biomatter, the debris forming an accretion disk that glowed with the energy of 1,000 suns. Aboard the Prometheus, Dr. Elara Chen monitored Marcus's neural activity with growing concern. His synaptic load is approaching critical levels, she reported to Admiral Zhang. If we don't activate Ouroboros soon, we might lose him, and our only chance of controlling the weapon. Zhang's face was a mask of grim determination. We need to get closer. The entire fleet needs to be within the weapon's radius for maximum effect. Marcus, overhearing through the neural link, knew what had to be done. All ships, form up on the Odyssey. We're going in. With a thought, he commanded his flagship to charge towards the heart of the Nesterian fleet. The Odyssey's experimental quantum drive activated, allowing it to slip between the gaps in reality. Nesterian ships fired frantically, their energy beams passing harmlessly through the phased vessel. The rest of the quantum armada followed in a massive coordinated maneuver that looked like a double helix spiraling towards its target. Ships weaved in and out of each other's paths with impossible precision, all guided by Marcus's expanded consciousness. As they penetrated deeper into enemy territory, Marcus felt the alien presence of the Nesterian hivemind pressing against his thoughts. It was vast, ancient, and utterly alien, a collective consciousness that spanned galaxies. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Marcus found himself in a formless void, face to face with a shimmering multidimensional entity that represented the Nesterian overmind. "Why do you resist?" The entity communicated, its thoughts a cascade of conflicting emotions and alien logic. "We offer unity, perfection, the end of conflict." Marcus stood his ground, the entirety of human history and potential flowing through him. "We resist because we choose to. Our conflicts, our differences, they're what make us human. We'll forge our own destiny, not be absorbed into yours." The entity recoiled, incomprehension radiating from its form. "Then you will be erased. All that you are, all that you could be, gone." "No," Marcus replied, a fierce grin spreading across his face. "We're humanity. When faced with a Raja, we do what we do best. We go big." With a monumental effort of will, Marcus broke free of the psychic confrontation. In the physical world, only seconds had passed. The Odyssey had reached its designated position at the heart of the Nesterian fleet, the rest of the quantum armada arrayed around it in a perfect spherical formation. "Now, Elara," Marcus shouted, his voice hoarse with the strain of maintaining control. Aboard the Prometheus, Dr. Chen slammed her hand down on a glowing panel. Ouroboros hummed to life, its massive ring structure beginning to spin at impossible speeds around the black hole. Reality itself seemed to groan in protest as the weapon drew power from the singularity. A beam of pure possibility, of uncreation itself, lanced out from Ouroboros. It caught the Odyssey first, the ship glowing with unearthly light as it became the conduit for energies never meant to be harnessed. Marcus felt his consciousness expand beyond anything he had ever experienced. He was no longer just connected to the fleet, he was connected to the fabric of space-time itself. Through sheer force of will, he directed the beam, guiding its reality-warping effects. The Nesterian fleet began to unravel. Ships didn't explode or break apart, they simply ceased to be, erased from existence across all possible timelines. The hive mind screamed in fury and terror, feeling quintillions of its constituent parts blink out of reality. But the effect didn't stop there. Marcus, pushing his expanded consciousness to its limits, began to rewrite the very laws of physics in localized areas of space. Pockets of the universe where Nesterian influence had taken root were reshaped, made inhospitable to their particular form of life. The strain was immense. Blood trickled from Marcus's nose and ears as his mind grappled with cosmic forces. Warning klaxons blared throughout the Prometheus as his neural patterns began to degrade. "We're losing him," Elara shouted, her fingers flying over holographic controls as she tried to stabilize the neural interface. Admiral Zhang's voice cut through the chaos. "Disengage, shut it down now." But Marcus was beyond hearing. With the last vestiges of his consciousness, he pushed for one final burst from Ouroboros. The weapon pulsed, releasing a wave of chronometric energy that rippled across the galaxy. In an instant, it was over. The Nesterian fleet was gone, erased from history itself. Pockets of space-time had been fundamentally altered, creating barriers that would prevent any resurgence of the hive mind. As Ouroboros powered down, the Odyssey drifted lifelessly at the center of the human fleet. Emergency crews rushed to board the ship, finding Marcus slumped in the neural interface chair, unresponsive. Dr. Chen burst into the room, her medical scanner already whirring. "He's alive," she announced, relief evident in her voice. "But his neural patterns, they're like nothing I've ever seen." As medics rushed Marcus to the Prometheus Advanced Medical Bay, the rest of the fleet began to take stock of what had happened. They had won, but at what cost? And what would be the consequences of their reality-altering weapon? Admiral Zhang stared out at the starfield, now noticeably changed by the battle that had just taken place. New constellations greeted her eyes, a testament to the power they had unleashed. "Send word to Earth and the Galactic Council," she ordered, her voice heavy with the weight of history. "The Nesterian threat is over, but our work is just beginning." As the quantum armada regrouped, the altered space around them pulsed with new possibilities. Humanity had survived, proven its worth among the stars, but in doing so, they had changed the very nature of the universe. The age of exploration was over. The age of creation had begun. Echoes of eternity. The medical bay of the Prometheus hummed with an otherworldly energy. Captain Marcus Holden lay suspended in a quantum healing chamber, his body wreathed in shimmering chronoparticles. Dr. Elara Chen stood before a holographic display of his neural patterns, her face a mask of awe and confusion. "I've never seen anything like this," she murmured, manipulating the 3D image with practiced gestures. "His consciousness, it's not just expanded, it's evolving." Admiral Zhang approached, her usually stoic demeanor cracking with concern. "Will he recover?" Elara shook her head slowly. "Recover? Admiral, I'm not sure there's anything to recover to. The Marcus we knew, he might not exist anymore." As if on cue, Marcus's eyes snapped open, but instead of their usual brown, they glowed with an inner light that shifted through impossible colors. He sat up, the quantum field around him bending in ways that made the observer's eyes water. "Marcus," Elara ventured cautiously, "can you hear me?" When he spoke, his voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "I hear you, Elara. I hear everything. The song of quarks, the whispers of dark matter, the echoes of futures yet to unfold." Admiral Zhang stepped forward, her military bearing reasserting itself. "Captain Holden, report. What happened out there?" Marcus turned his gaze to her, and for a moment, Zhang felt as if she were falling through an endless kaleidoscope of realities. "We won, Admiral. But victory has changed us all." With a gesture, Marcus caused the walls of the medical bay to become transparent. The crew gasped as they beheld the space around them. The familiar starfield had been replaced by a cosmic tapestry of impossibility. Nebulae twisted into Mobius strips, stars pulsed in complex geometric patterns, and the very fabric of space-time seemed to breathe with newfound sentience. Ouroboros didn't just defeat the Nesterians, Marcus explained, his voice resonating with the harmony of creation itself. "It rewrote the fundamental laws of our universe, and in doing so, it opened doorways to realities beyond our comprehension." Elara's scientific curiosity overrode her shock. "Are you saying we've made contact with other universes?" Marcus smiled, the expression somehow both familiar and alien. "Contact? Elara, we've merged with them. The barriers between dimensions have become permeable." As if to demonstrate, he waved his hand. The air shimmered, and suddenly, the medical bay was filled with translucent apparitions, versions of themselves from alternate timelines. Elara saw herself as a hardened military commander, as an Nesterian hybrid, as a being of pure energy. Admiral Zhang's alternate selves spoke in unison, their voices a chorus of possibilities. The war is over, but a new age has just begun. Humanity's overkill approach has transformed us into the shepherds of a newborn multiverse. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just saved their universe, they had birthed an entirely new paradigm of existence. The crew of the Prometheus watched in wonder as realities blurred into one another, creating hybrid zones where the impossible became mundane. Marcus stood, his form flickering between states of matter. We must guide our civilization through this transition. The power we now wield, it could remake or unmake countless realities. Ilara reached out, her hand passing through alternate versions of herself to grasp Marcus's arm. But how? We're not ready for this kind of responsibility. Marcus's eyes softened, a hint of his old self shining through the cosmic awareness. We'll learn, we'll adapt. It's what humanity does best. Admiral Zhang squared her shoulders, addressing both her crew and the multiversal echoes surrounding them. Then, let's get to work. We have a new frontier to explore, the frontier of creation itself. As the Prometheus prepared to return to Earth, the crew was unaware that they were being watched. In a dimension just slightly out of phase with their own, a figure observed the unfolding events with great interest. The being's form was difficult to comprehend, a swirling mass of tentacles and eyes that hurt the mind to look upon directly. Yet there was an undeniable intelligence in its gaze, a cold and ancient hunger that had survived the reshaping of reality. The last of the Nesterian overmind, preserved by the very chaos that had nearly destroyed it, reached out with tendrils of thought. It touched the minds of the celebrating humans, planting seeds of ideas and ambitions that would take root in the fertile soil of their new powers. For the overmind knew a truth that the humans had yet to grasp. In rewriting reality, they had not just changed the present and future, they had altered the past as well. Causality itself had become a plaything of consciousness, and the distinction between creator and creation had blurred beyond recognition. As the Prometheus vanished into a kaleidoscopic fold of space-time, the overmind pulsed with something akin to laughter. The game was not over. It had merely moved to a higher plane of existence. And in this new reality, where thought shaped the very fabric of the multiverse, the Nesterians might yet have their victory. The last image we see is a reflection in the overmind's compound eyes. Countless realities, each showing humanity ascending to godlike power, unaware of the subtle manipulations guiding their evolution. For in their quest to save existence, they had instead ensured that the battle would rage on for eternity, across dimensions beyond imagining. The screen fades to black, leaving the audience with a mix of awe, existential dread, and a burning desire to discuss the mind-bending implications of what they've just witnessed. As the credits roll, a single line of text appears. The end, or just the beginning.